All right, welcome back to the Costas Verde Show. We're going to cover Bitcoin price action mixed with some traditional market high impact economic data, which could make the charts pretty funky leading into Wednesday and the rest of the week. What we have going on with Bitcoin is it went dead sideways for 7 days, pumped up to the daily or the weekly 10 EMA precisely as we anticipated on this channel, and has come straight back down to the middle. Not very exciting stuff. I think that closures of larger candles, daily and weekly, is going to give us the best information possible. I typically focus a lot on lower time frames, which I'll continue doing so, how they interact with these EMAs as I have listed here, right? So you can tell very clearly that up here, the small candles are getting rejected. I typically focus a lot on that for general direction, but with what's happening in traditional markets, where it's at a point where, hey, are we whales and big money? Are we determining the rallies over or not? I think that state is in flux. So as that state's in flux, as they're getting together, I mean, rich people know each other and hedge fund people know each other. I mean, to some degree, some are enemies, obviously, but in general terms, I think that's in a state of flux, and the small candles bouncing off of here, while it's good information to have, and I'm going to continue using them, I'm purposely going to focus a lot more on traditional market daily and weekly closures, and that does say that this range might not be broken for a little while. It might take a while for those closures to happen, so let's go be more specific in these charts so I can show you specifically what I'm looking at on Bitcoin price and traditional markets. Let's get some Bitcoin. All right, well, I'm out of liquid to drink, darn. Okay, here we go. The three things in play for Bitcoin on the short-term time frames right now are the weekly 10 EMA, which just got the rejection point. All right, I thought I had this labeled already. The daily 55 EMA here and the daily 10. You can use the MTF EMA indicator to put this on. And again, that's made by FX underscore Masa. MTF EMA, you type that in to put those on. And I'm on the I'm on the 15 minute now, but I've been staring at the 5 minute chart quite a bit with my live streams. And that's it. That's all I'm looking at. Obviously, I have my channel here. But in general, the major things, any upside movement, you have immediate resistance at the daily 10. Any more upside movement, you have immediate resistance at the daily 55, which aligns with the micro horizontal. So if I zoom out to, let's say, the hourly chart, you can see you have a lot of price wicks up here. Wick. Resistance. It aligns with the daily 55. So I'm just going to use the daily 55 because it's a little bit more flexible. And then if price continues to go up, then I would expect the weekly 10 to be the next resistance point. As price potentially goes down, the two things I'm focusing on are the bottom of the point of control here, which is my range is tilted up. If I could take these EMAs off, most returning viewers know I use ranges like this, right? Like an ascending channel, that's getting things right. The two things I'm looking out for downside movement are this: the bottom of the point of control here, which is roughly at 22.7 at this point, 22.650. But specifically, there's a lot of weekly stuff going on here, and I provided that with a lot more clarity in my daily updates, both for the Discord community. The links to that in the description section. I didn't put it on Twitter, but I post other bomb charts on Twitter. It's Costas Verdes with the number 2. And my YouTube tiers, I produced a daily update for the Cryptillion tier there. And just a heads up, when I do live questions on the second half of this, I'll try to answer the the folks with emblems first, because that's part of the benefit about being in the YouTube tiers, in addition to getting daily updates 6 to 7 days a week on traditional markets and Bitcoin and Ethereum. All right. And for the YouTube tiers, I've been doing a live, my live chart, so you can see how price is interacting with my personal levels that I'm looking at. So essentially just sitting here staring at price, to this effect. But on my live streams, I'll set it up to this effect right here and then really zoom in so you can tell, hey, are these candles behaving using this as resistance? Yes, it is. But do we have higher lows? Yes. Do we have a swoopy fashion? Yes, we do. Okay, it's probably going to break above. Next step is this. If it can use this as support, the next step is either this this channel line or the weekly 10 up here. That's it. One step at a time. Now, daily closures, what I was talking about earlier, this is where it gets a lot more important. So I'm taking it essentially one level at a time with small price action, but the daily closures, I think, is going to give you a bigger hint for, is this rally over? Is that it? And if you get an edge that was it, it could still pop up and make a lower high. But the daily closures is what I'm going to focus on next. All right. If you get a daily closure below 22.5, Bitcoin rally is over. So I'm going to put like a deep red. Let's try that. There we go. A deep red box down here. If we get a daily closure, I mean, even tomorrow's, this could change in any day, right? But if it closes below the daily 10 EMA, I'll put this light red, then I think the chances that was it, I think you have an edge. If a daily closes down here, yes, price could easily pop back up and come up to the weekly 10, but that would still mean that's it. It doesn't mean straight down from there. You could easily have a lower high at a 45-degree angle from your recent local high. Very common. And that would be honestly kind of expected there, actually. But it would still for me, it would just, in general, my thinking, what are the parameters of whale games? I have a 90% chance that any price action, it's going to stay within these things, right? In this area. It's going to help me better define that off of the daily closures. Am I making sense? Let me get my microphone a little closer. All right. It doesn't mean it's going to go straight down, but below the daily 10, I think it gives an edge to the downside, or that the rally's done. I'm going to label this one yellow. If it closes between these two EMAs, the daily 55 and the daily 10, I don't think it gives much information. I think it's just, we're still flirting with small price levels. If it can close back above the daily 55, I think your chances increase that this rally continues. And that's how I'm cutting it. What could happen here is price continues to go sideways even more for another 15 days potentially. And what you have happen is this weekly 10 starts crunching down on this daily 55. And at that point, Bitcoin will have to make a decision. Like, something will happen if it goes sideways that long. It'll be very explosive. And that's not very far out. That's only 2 to 3 days out. Look at that. That says August 11th, 12th. So by August or 11th or 12th, even though we did get fireworks on the date that I was thinking, August 8th, but it just fell right back into the middle. So somewhere here, this is going to be, like, I think Bitcoin has to, its volatility has to increase and sustained increase by that time. I guess it doesn't have to, because Bitcoin has gone 150 days going sideways at once. So that's not a good way to say it. But I think something pretty big could happen if you find Bitcoin going sideways until that date. So watch out for sideways movement. The 12th, or what did I say? Yeah, the 12th and 13th could be really big, because that's when the weekly 10, this red stuff up here, is going to start crossing the 55. Yeah, and these are the key levels to look out for, and they're going to be crossing, so something weird would happen, and it could break up. It could avoid that bearish, essentially that cross. What else do we have here? So that's the importance of the daily closures and how I would interpret them. And again, I can't stress enough, if you get a daily closure, that doesn't mean straight down from there. That doesn't mean this is the next target. It actually, in my opinion, I think it could initiate a lower high before then your horizontal down here is hit. I would actually kind of count on it because I would want to go short. I wouldn't want to go short right here. I would prefer to be short way up here and then my target to be hit. Does that make sense? And I need to be careful. Acknowledging my biases, that's what I want to happen. So I need to be careful for that. But I want it to happen because first off, it'd be more profitable and it's pretty expected. It's pretty common play. You hit the bounce point, you make a lower high, then you head down from there. But really, that's the only thing to stare at. Price is right back in the middle. It's going sideways. It could, but I think 12th to the 13th, you might want to put that on your calendar. Bitcoin should be moving pretty hard and trading should be a hell of a lot easier by then. Now, the last thing I'll talk about on Bitcoin here is the high impact economic data. There's only one big one this week. I think last week or the week before we had 4 days. It was a lot of stuff, but Bitcoin just went sideways because all the data is a little mixed. There's only one this week. And so if you are on your computer clicking around on Wednesday morning, New York time, be careful. And honestly, it's typically better not to try it. And if you do try it, which I am going to tomorrow, your risk management is first, but not foremost, is first by your entry sizes. So just don't trade with as much money. If you're trading tomorrow morning, I can't stress that enough. It's going to be stupid. And again, the typical patterns of early morning volatility, of the stupidity that happens, right? It's typically you either go up, down, back to the middle, or you do the inverse, down, up, back to the middle. Yin and yang. Those are the common plays for the stupid shit that happens. The real question is, how big of a range does it get? A lot of times Bitcoin's range for stupidity is about 5% total. So from the middle point, 2.5% down, 2.5% up, back to the middle, right? 2.5 on both sides of zero. That's usually the range. That's a common range. When there was a quarterly closure, it was 10% in one direction, but it was from the bottom. So technically 10% total. It was stupid in a half hour. So it can get more volatile, but and I think the last weird stuff that happened, straight up that same pattern, I can't remember where it happened. It was one of these days. It just the markets. Where did the market start? Yeah, it was this one right here. Market opened right. Oh, you can't see. Boop. Market opened right here, and essentially the day went up, down, and back, and it ended, or actually it ended back where it started. So it just went up, it hanged around in the middle, then went straight back to where it was, and then waited for the next candle closure to go up. So this one wasn't quite the same, but the point is the range was smaller. It was only 3% of play. So that's what I'm thinking tomorrow. I'm gonna loosely be thinking one of these patterns will play out. And a lot of times this pattern right here plays out before the economic event. So if you see Bitcoin flopping around earlier than 8:30 a.m. New York time, if you see it going down like this, that means, the first move will probably be up, and then it'll go straight back to the middle. Or potentially all the way back down. But these are the plays that I'm expecting tomorrow, and that's why I need to be careful. These are all the plays in the playbook. Like, there are some trick shots. It's almost like a pool trick shot. Have you ever watched? It's really cool. Even if you're not into billiards or pool, I mean, if you just watch the professionals on YouTube, the trick shots they do is insane. Like, there are a lot of trick shots up hedge funds and whales up their sleeves for early morning stuff. So, so first but not foremost is your entry size if you're playing around, and that is all my updates on Bitcoin. I hope that this was helpful for you. The key levels that I'm looking for: daily 55 in blue, the weekly 10 in red, and the daily 10 in white. Those are the 3 EMAs that I am using, and be safe out there. Okay, so that was Bitcoin. Here we go. Ethereum, I don't want to concentrate on Ethereum today too much because its structure is so much different. I don't know what to think of it. I typically use this within my analysis, but right now I'm just going between SPX and Bitcoin. All right. So What I'm looking for on SPX specifically, as essentially my primary indicator, is the day. I need the daily 89 to be hit, because that's how bear market rallies go. Every single time that a bear market rally goes above the daily 89, it comes back to bounce it, and then it usually, actually, it might be 100% of the time that it's gone above it in a bear market rally. It bounces and makes a higher high. So will Bitcoin also go up to 25 and beyond when this happens? It's not guaranteed. Bitcoin has been underperforming the traditional market. So once you see this bounce, I'm personally going to be a little longer on Bitcoin. Not in that exact instant necessarily, but in general, I will close shorts and probably begin being more interested in longs, because Bitcoin in general would float up with the strong assumption that so will SPX. Daily 89. So that is a key level for everything, even NASDAQ futures. I mean, look, the daily 89 is, that's where it's going. It's likely going to tag that. And once that happens, it's going to start bouncing. It could take a couple days. It could float around here, have a fake out, come back up, and then go, So longing right at that point might not be the best idea. You could easily get destroyed on that. But I would fully expect a bounce off of this for crypto and all that, which means, unfortunately, if Bitcoin cannot get a good rally when this bounce likely happens, it means more sideways. It could happen. And those are my completed thoughts. So the SPX and NASDAQ as my primary indicators for Bitcoin. Let's start looking at some questions. Here we go. All right. Kadena and Flux, let's get it. Kadena, it was impressive. It got my highest target, and it did a failure pattern above it. I did not think it was going to go quite that high. I was thinking the highest I could see it going was about $2.30, like on the most bullish case. But it took that, and it did a failure, and it did it before the daily 89 could get in this pocket. That's why I was thinking it was going to stop in here, because I projected where the daily 89 would be, and it did a failure pattern above the daily 89 before the 89 got into this massive horizontal. That the top of it's at 230. So this was an impressive move. I think the next step is seeing how. Let's see here. This origin line, I think you're going to see a triangle happen here. And the daily 89 is going to keep going like this, and then you're going to have price interact with the daily 89 EMA, which you could throw on your Kadena chart. Let's take this off. My triangle is hit. All right. And this origin line here. And again, you don't have to draw this origin line way back in time, but just, I'm on the 1 hour chart. So the 1 hour wick up from August 3rd and wicks down from August 6th. So the 3rd and the 6th, just kind of connect the line there and extend it. And that would be where I think so. But Kadena could resolve itself up and out of this. But I think it's going to chop around in here for a bit. And how it interacts with these lines is going to be key. Does it get above here and use it as support? Well, then, shit, it's probably going to break up. Let me make this different color. Boom. If it can get above the daily 89 and use that as support, then you're going to make another move up. But if you get rejected from it and start using it as resistance, can't get above, maybe even do this, break back down, and then go below, then use this as resistance, well, then you better be short. It's going to break down heavily and quickly. Like, it'll be a big one. It'll be a swift move down. So these are the things that I'm looking for. It's going to be this convergence of the daily 89 with this trend line, or an origin line, which is a little bit, it's a very important trend line. That's really all that's relevant on to me right now. Let's see here. And if you want a cheat code, Kadena follows its 1 hour 200 EMA. Pretty damn well. This one right here. That's the 1 hour 200 EMA. If above, generally you're good to go up. And technically, it bounced right on this bastard. So as the 1 hour 200 EMA comes up, where's it going to be? At the bottom of the triangle. It's also going to be here. So if you want just guidance on a cool EMA, just the cheat code for most altcoins, generally good, generally bullish, generally bearish type of thought processes. Well, technically, its move is still absolutely intact. It hasn't broken down yet. But this is what I anticipate. So using the 1 hour 200 EMA with the daily 89, and they'll start converging on each other. I anticipate price to chop around, and it could resolve either way. But I'm giving the heads up that the predictor for which way it's going to go, you'll be able to see the small candles, like 5 minute, 1 minute, 3 minute. How does it interact with these two EMAs? And you're going to be able to be on your toes like that for Kadena. Let me zoom out to make sure I'm not missing anything on Kadena here. Its weekly looks just fine. Stokes are good. RSI is just fine. It did not get rejected by its EMA here. This is fine. So the weekly has permission to go up. The 5-day looks just fine. Stokes, I wouldn't be worried about that yet. 5-day looks good for continuation. 2-day looks really bullish for continuation with a big pullback. It likely needs to touch this red line and this white moving average right here. So I can see a pretty big pullback on Kadena. So the 2-day is saying it disagrees with me. This pullback could go deeper. So that what the 2-day is saying, it's saying, hey Tim, what you said on the bearish case could happen, but the move could still be intact. It's saying it could do this, use this as resistance, break down, but then charge back up. So the 2-day is in disagreement with my short time frame structural analysis. So heads up there. If you do get a bigger breakdown and Bitcoin continues to go sideways or better, Kadena could roar right back up because its 2-day and 5-day and weekly would still be intact. But that often is the cutoff when once the daily and lower time frames, so 4 hour, 1 hour, all that disagree with the 2-day, that's roughly the time when the smaller time frames start overpowering the large time frames, but it still really could go either way. I wanted to bring light to that. The 2-day is disagreeing with my short-term time frame analysis here. And all you can do is be aware of it. So if that were to happen, a deeper pullback, where would it go? Let me throw in some classic EMAs right here. Daily 55 and the daily 21, this cross. So Kadena could pull back all the way down to $1. So right a wick under $2 and still be intact. That'd be a lot of percentage down too. Look, it could go down 20% and the move could still be intact. And the 2-day chart and 5-day chart would still give it permission. So, but on the short-term time frame, if you do have those candles, use this as resistance, it probably will make that big move down. So you might as well, that'd still be. I wouldn't be long in that case because that'd be a big tumble. That'd be a 10% move down, which is very tradable to the downside. Or just if you're trading on spot, hell, you could get rid of it here and then buy it back 10% cheaper, which is kind of what I'm doing on Dash as well. I fully got out of Dash on this last move, sold my last chunk a large chunk at $58, and I think the rally as total on Dash went up to 58.35 or something like that. So I personally, on my spot trade, I got out on this move up, and I'm looking to buy back lower. So from a personal perspective, I guess I am putting my money where my mouth is. I always like to try to verify that. What else? Yep, these are all the key levels. Daily 55, just about $2. You still have hopes, bullish case, but short-term time frame, it's this triangle with the 1 hour 200 and the daily 89. That's going to dictate your short-term time frame moves, and that's Kadena. All right, and you also said Flux. Let's take a look at Flux. Oh, whoop, wrong altcoin pile. Small altcoins. I might want to rewatch Sesame Street and learn what order my ABCs are in. Okay. All right, here we're taking a look at Flux. Note that it structurally came up to the equivalent of Bitcoin 30K. So this is outperforming Bitcoin, first off. that is kind of impressive for a small cap. How small of a cap is this? I'm actually kind of impressed with this. What are we doing? There we go. It's smart. Oh, I guess it's not a small cap. This is a mid cap. Interesting. I did not know that. Wow, its market cap got up over $500 million. Okay, I must be mixing. I must have been thinking about a different altcoin. Okay, well, this is still outperforming Bitcoin. I was going to say, for a small cap, this doesn't really happen. This is impressive. So that makes more sense. It's a mid cap, which gives it a better chance to outperform Bitcoin to this effect. So my general interpretation of this is there are buyers interested in this in a bear market. That is, I mean, hell, I can't even say that about a lot of big altcoins. This is that's good. Let's see, where's it going from here? It has broken out of its channel and used it as support. Shit. I mean, if Bitcoin makes its move up to 25K, its next pit stop is here, 91 cents. That is the next area sellers are going to step in heavily. That'd be a big move. And the way I did that is just looking left, just looking at big wicks here, right there. No pun intended. Costas Verdes, what is he looking at? All right, anyway, so yeah, you have these big wicks here. It'll come right straight up to there. And it could, I don't know. Let's take a look at this one. And the next the next one after that's just above it. Ooh, it would have a chance to break $1. It could swing up to $1.07, folks, because these wicks here, looking left farther, that wick and that wick, that could attract it to it. So, man, it could do it. $1.07. Wow, those are the next two levels for it. And again, that is if Bitcoin continues its rally up or goes sideways. So sideways or better Bitcoin, altcoins can continue to rally, particularly mid caps and small caps. It would reduce the chances of this happening, right? But Bitcoin technically doesn't have to go up. I mean, hell, for my altcoin Dash kept going up like freaking 15% after Bitcoin made lower highs at the weekly 10, right? So Bitcoin was done going up, but altcoins continue going up. So Bitcoin doesn't have to make that move of 25K, but it'll. But sideways or better. These are the next two targets. Breakdown point. I mean, very simple. This channel. So this is a descending channel. All you need to do is essentially connect the wick high of May 3rd-ish to all the price action recently. You can see, zoom in here. Let me go to the 1 hour chart so you can see this better. You'll want to run it through essentially the descending price action here. Just run it straight from that wick through here, and that's your top channel line. Yeah, you'll run it through the first, like, so after the big move up, the first wick down kind of gets it right there. So a breakdown below there, its run's probably over. So that would be my invalidation of its run if it breaks down below, and particularly uses it as resistance. So you see it went below it here and here, but zooming in, it never used this line as resistance. Let's actually go into the 5-minute chart, see if it used it as resistance. Went below it, did not use it as resistance. Went below it, it looked like it was going to use it as resistance, but it came back up, did not use it as resistance. Not resistance, not resistance, support, support, support. Broke down, used it as resistance, but fought it with a higher low, broke above, used it as support, support, support. So it could use it as resistance a couple times, but you always look out for higher lows. Higher lows could propel it, essentially this is accumulating under this zone. So this line is real, as you can tell. I mean, look, it almost perfectly gets the drops down and the rejections up. So this is kind of the line in the sand, and I can't give you one level because it's a descending thing. So that's why I was showing you how to draw it. But those would be in breakout points. Let me go to the 1 hour chart. Breakout points would be above this guy here. So, yeah, once you're back above 68 cents with like a 4 or daily closure above here, if you get a daily close, yeah, the next one could backfill a little bit, but the day would probably end pretty heavy. Something to this effect. if you can get a daily closure above 68 cents. Probably have a backfill, but then it'll probably initiate a decent move up. 68 cents would be my breakout point for that. Because it's a pretty big horizontal looking left there. And that's everything I got for Flux. All right. Happy Tuesday to you. Yes, let's do the Timification. Timified worldwide. We're getting it. Actually, I don't feel like a filtered cigar right now. I'm just pissing around with it. I've had enough tobacco today. Oh, speaking, it's quick hiatus. And this is not a paid for content, but if you're looking to stop using tobacco, they have these pouches with nicotine in it. And it's so much cheap. It doesn't have to be this name brand, but they sell pouches with nicotine, no tobacco. And it's like this was under $3 for like 30 pouches. I mean, Nicorette gum costs $1 a piece, and the patches cost even more. This is way more cost effective. They're trying to stop using it. Just a heads up, look for them at gas stations if you're trying to use less tobacco. It's they're something else. Great price point. All right, here we go. More questions. And that was part of your timification. VRA, okay. Yeah, so a non-community member asked for VRA. I will definitely check that out. Let me get to OTA's question first. Look at Metis and Mover. I'll look at Mover first because I already have that charted. Mover's a damn dog. I'm so disappointed in this. I started DCing way too early, but whatever. It bumped its head on this. I don't know. I just this is really disappointing. Let's see. The daily 10 is getting priced pretty right here. Let's go into the 15-minute chart. 30-minute chart. There we go. Let's try the 1 hour 200. That's right in line. So either the daily 10 or the 1 hour 200. I'll use the 1 hour 200. It's the same thing. The line is a lot better. I mean, it's really using the I would just use the 1 hour 200 as your guidance. As long as it's above it and use it as support, it still has a chance to make higher highs. That's it. And you have resistance right at $22 even. But if the 1 hour 200 can work its way like this and squeeze price into there, you could have a pretty big reaction. Above this, and that would take a week to play out if that were to happen. But it looks like it doesn't want to move too far away from this EMA. So in order to get a breakout above 22, I think the 1 hour 200 needs to be close to $22 level. I don't anticipate a move up and out of $22 until the 1 hour 200 is a little bit closer. Something to that effect. That's what I would use. But if it starts breaking below it and use it as resistance, well, then you're going to come back down and hit this. You're going to hit the top of the channel. It's going to move back down to $11 and perhaps even lower if it breaks back into the channel, which Bitcoin's done this. It's gotten out of the channel and fallen right back in, which could easily happen. But yeah, general guidance for this 1 hour 200 EMA is a damn good guidance, and then $22 is your next breakout point. But I think the 1 hour 200 or the daily 10 needs to get closer to this before it can break out. And then you said Metis. This one's playing the same EMA pretty well too. This looks a lot more bullish. This is had a really big move up. What the hell is going on here? So March straight down. It started recovering in June. Yeah, that was Bitcoin's low. Okay. So that makes sense. This is rather aggressive. That's 3.5x. That's damn. This is equivalent to like Bitcoin 40K. This has a big buyer base. I don't know what this is, but there are, for the relative to the market cap. So market cap divided by user base, that equation, that number is really high. I think it's Metis DAO, right? Let's see here. Metis at $42. Yeah, this one. It got up to, so this is another mid cap. Okay. 188 million in a bear market. It's a mid cap. This is something else. This has a chance to be a first mover after, Bitcoin's done going down. This is probably one to keep your eye on. Thank you for that suggestion. This is among the most aggressive moves up. I think one of my VIPs on Discord, and again, links to the Discord community in the description section. I just got off a live video chat call where you can jump on and turn on your microphone and ask questions and fire away or make commentary. But he likes Rose, and that has had a very aggressive move up. Another VIP has noted, what's it called? Chronos Tech, but I think the ticker is Time. That also has had this type of move up, but there are very few altcoins with this aggressive. This is even bigger than Matic. Matic's move up. Structurally, it's a lot bigger. Matic is probably here or here. And this is like the 30K Bitcoin structural area. And then Bitcoin went down to 17.5, broke down from 35, or from 28 to 32K. So yeah, this is huge. Damn. I don't know what this is doing, but it's doing something right here. Hot damn. I just kind of want to, so it's a layer 2 roll up. So it's a layer on top of Ethereum, which is what, isn't that what Matic does too? Okay. So it's a layer 2 for Ethereum and other, potentially to go to other layer 1s. Yeah, this is something else. I think its rally has, damn, its next pit stop is at $64. That's impressive. This is something else. It actually doesn't look like it's done. Of course, Bitcoin can change that in an instant, but this honestly looks like it's going to hit $64. It's consolidating under this horizontal here, or at it. So that's the next pit stop. It might hesitate at 58, but I bet it. I don't know. It looks like it's going to hit $64 to me. Breakdown point. I would say this wick here, if it goes below and struggles getting back above, even on lower time frames, something like this, I would say your chance for that to be it, the rally to be over, is pretty high at that point. And that level to watch out for is $40.81 is your breakdown point. But just going below it does not mean it's over. It's if that level is used as resistance due to that wick formed on May 1st. If it's using that as resistance, then that's probably it. So that'd be your invalidation point, using $40.81 as resistance. All right, here we go. Did you take a look at both those? All right, so somebody wanted me to take a look at Veracity. Of course, we'll look at Veracity. Let's go get it right now. Veracity has had a lot of stuff on Twitter. It's been on the hot list, like 5,000 tweets an hour or something. So Veracity is doing some pretty cool stuff here. Let's take a look where it is on its weekly 10. It did a failure pattern above it. Let's zoom way in here, and it might be getting rejected. So you had essentially a double. You had a double failure pattern there, a double pump. Ugh. So right now it's all about the weekly 10. Can it get back above? Wow, it really got through here. Look. So see, this is not a coincidence. Buyers pushed it through the weekly 10, right? And now what is it struggling with? The same thing. And it's not reacting the same. So I would watch out for this. If you can't get back above, I mean, it has a chance to bounce on this. So this down here is like the daily 10, but technically it's the 1 hour 200. So what you might have happen here is a consolidation between these two as these two EMAs get closer together. And it might form a triangle, and then whichever way it breaks out might be dependent on traditional markets and Bitcoin. Something like this, put a question mark, boom, bam. And then the weekly 10 going like this. And the daily 10 or the 1 hour 200 going like this, forming a triangle. And this might only, so this only technically take it 1 day. So it's got to make up its mind soon. And if Bitcoin's going sideways, it's probably going to go up. It's probably going to break up. As long as Bitcoin doesn't break down, it's sideways or better, it has a strong chance of breaking up. So I honestly think that VRA touching its daily 10 down here, it could be good. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but it could be a good buy signal because I don't see it getting rejected once and then breaking down below its support. I would say it would do it a few times. Maybe not as many times as I have drawn here. I'm kind of exaggerating the point, but to show you that I think it's got a high chance of forming a triangle, to ascending triangle at that, like this, because of these two EMAs that everybody's looking at. What else? VRA. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything on the weekly chart. This looks okay to me. Even if you get a closure below here, I mean, the next week could easily just backfill, start down, like even retest all the way down to 0062. So this failure point, I would say, when the rally is like almost definitely over for this, is if it breaks the absolute low of this and that wick here. So its rally is over if it starts going below 006, essentially. Because of those points. Yeah, if it gives up this whole week at some other future week, it's probably done, but it really doesn't look like it's going to do that. Let's look at some indicators on here. Probably has good momentum. Yeah, the weekly RSI is actually pretty good. Lower or higher highs, higher lows. The weekly Stokes are just getting moving, so I mean, shit. The most bullish I could see happening, gosh, this could go. It could come up to here and hit that origin line with this wick. So let's go into the 1 hour chart. So the next pit stop up is 00862 for the upside. So now you have downside kind of invalidation, bearish points, and then upside targets where sellers will very, very, very likely step in to some degree. What did I say? I can't remember. Hold on. Yeah, it's just called 850. And that's crossing an origin line with a pretty big horizontal. And that would be a big move up. So if it breaks out of this ascending triangle, which it likely will form, in my opinion, that move up will be another 30%. That's pretty massive. Yeah, it's still intact as long as you're above 00600 is your breakdown point. Breakdown point and upper target. Whatever happens in the middle, just look at the weekly 10 as your guidance. So zoom in. So since we're in the middle of this, just for general direction, look here. Right now, it's indistinguishable. You can't tell if it's going to go above or below because it's literally just playing with this line. You see that? So right now, it really could go either way. The weekly 10 is in the middle of those breakdown and upper targets, and it has yet to use it as resistance or support, so you can't tell. So there is no immediate edge either way. There really isn't one. But I think for determining what's going to happen between these points, just stare at the weekly 10 and the daily 10 or the 1 hour 200 to try to know your edge, which one of these will happen first. 00850 or 00600/breakdown, daily 10 and weekly 10, using as your guidance for which one will happen first, and that's VRA. Okay. Curve, yeah. Curve's a good one. It's breaking down, though. It's fallen out of its channel. Not completely. Hold on. Yeah, it's out of its channel. I think this one's done. But it's above its weekly 10, so maybe not. It could be saved by the weekly 10 as support and break back into the channel, but man, just taking those EMAs off, though, looking at it structurally, this is saying, well, no, because you have this horizontal here. As long as it's over this, it's actually still kind of okay. So breakdown point for curve is $1.14. And again, using it as resistance, just going below on a 1 hour candle closure, is not a deal breaker. It's when it comes back up to interact with it, does it use it as resistance? That would be your breakdown point. And then your breakout point is $1.44. If it can get above this area right here, it's going to initiate the next move up. And that, yeah, $1.44. So this is a tighter range. And what's going to guide you between? Probably the 1 hour 200. So, yeah, I would probably use the 1 hour 200 as guidance. So right now, pressure's down. It looks like $1.14 will be hit first because it's below this EMA. And it'll probably come up, use it as resistance, come down here, bounce, and then it'll probably interact with $1.44. So what I could see happening is something like, and it'll probably meet up with it by August 14th, right there as the bottom of the channel connects. So if I had to guess on curve, something to that effect. Now, what happens after this, whether it breaks in or not, I'm going to put a question mark. I don't want to make that guess, but this is the price path I see most likely. I think it's got to put in some sideways at least before it can rally up. And it's got to hit $1.14 most likely. Maybe $1.20. I'll put $1. It could bounce off $1.20 though. Let me put that in there. $1.20. All right, Sander G asks a good question. Not a community member, but he's got such a good question, or he or she has such a good question. I'm gonna go after it. The question is, if there is resistance at 1750 this week, short it there with a tight stop loss, assuming question. It's really this origin line, and that is a little lower than 1750. I would call it 1725. If it can get back above here and use it as support, I think it's going to bust easily through 1750. If it can go like this without going to 1750, I think it's going to bust above that. That's where you're getting 1750 is all this here. I think it'll go way above it. As long as it can get above that origin line, it's going to bust above that, above your level. So I'm going to stare. I would stare at this line more for my indication. Because if you shorted there after, if you shorted at 1750 like this, shorted in this area, let's put like a short box there. Boom, I'm shorting here. But first it had done this. I think you got a strong chance of it blasting through all your shorts. But if it moves straight there without using this as support, Yeah, I think that's doable. If it just races, boom, I think you would at least be able to put your stops in profit or at break even as it came down to figure out what it's doing with the origin line as a retest at 1725. So yeah, I think that's a good plan depending on how it approaches 1750. So that would be my final answer if that's a question. Yes, if it depending on the approach to 1750. In specific regard to this origin line, which is roughly at 1725 and ascending. All right, Craig K, community member, thanks for being here. He asks, do you expect BTC to go lower than 22,300? In what time frame? I mean, in general, this calendar year, yes. 23 go lower, 23.3. So do I expect to go lower than where it is now? This calendar year, hell yeah. But in the immediate sense, I think it's kind of up in the air. Let's look at how these small candles are dealing with the daily 10. Right now, it's getting back above the daily 10, so it looks like it's going to test to the daily 55 here. And it could get rejected from that and then move down. So I don't think it's safe until you get a daily closure above here at 23,444. After that, then yeah, looking back, that's probably your local low. But until it closes a daily above here, I think it could easily break down. So I think it's up in the air. I don't think anybody can tell right now on the short-term time frames. Long term, I'm going to guess, this calendar year, I'm going to guess very strongly, yes, it goes lower than that. Mattis is Vitalik's mom's project. Interesting. Okay. Or Vitali's. I don't know who Vitali is, but I assume you missed a C there. Vitalik's mom's project or something. Metis. All right. Craig K asks, is there any correlation, positive or negative, between BTC and USD? Dixie. Yeah, there's a negative inverse correlation. Yes. Yep. In general, if Dixie is strong and going up, in general, that's pressure down. So general arrow up for Dixie is general pressure down. But is it 100% perfect? No. Absolutely not. It's more on a weekly scale. So if this is pumping up on an hourly, yeah, it's more likely Bitcoin doesn't go up, but it could go up on the same hour, for example. But over time, I mean, just look at this. Look at it this way. When did this start going up? It started going up May 2021. What, in hindsight, ended in May? The bull market. So on a longer scale, it's very inverse. Yeah, so this marked the end of the bull market. That's when this is when Bitcoin crashed down to like 29K from 58 was in May. It's almost on the same day as this bottom, actually. It's like May 21st, but right there. Yeah, exactly at the bottom. So yeah, this bottom caught. I mean, that was the end of the bull market in hindsight. Even though it had a second rally, but that was not a real rally, really. Not a sustained rally. It was a glorified dead cat bounce, in my opinion. Yes, so it's definitely strongly inversely correlated on the longer time frames. VRA just finished up their app. VRA is crushing it right now. So let's take a look. I think I answered most. Let me see if I missed any other questions. Charts time. Bam. That is okay. So let's wrap up on Bitcoin. What I'm staring at on Bitcoin, just as summary here, is how are the small. I'm always focused on how small candles interact with my lines, but in addition to that, I have 3 zones for daily closures. Daily closure below daily 10, greatly increased the chance that was it. Daily closure between here, still up in the air. Daily closure above the daily 55. That should initiate a move up. Not all at once. You could get a daily closure here, and then it backfills for 12 more hours. So it doesn't mean it's up immediately, but if you get a closure here, the next day could backfill and then move up. So it's not like an exact long signal, but this is essentially what I'm looking at right here. Daily closures on these major daily EMAs for general direction for this upcoming 10 days or so should set the course for it. And somebody's asking for tips on BTC on trading BTC pairs. I think trading on BTC pairs on non-futures is good in a bull market because when there's no bearish divergence on the daily. Because when you're selling back into BTC is generally up. So, and the dollar is flat. So you might as well be buying and selling on the BTC pairing, really, especially if there's enough liquidity. BTC pairing, though, for example, let's say I wanted to sell $10,000 at B Pro, like a small alt, but there isn't enough liquidity on KuCoin to sell $10,000 at once. I just want to sell now, right? But if I do that, I'll create a spike down and I'll be selling like 4% lower. Well, what you could do is, let's say 10K is the amount I want. I could go back and forth between the US dollar and BTC pairing. I could sell 2,500 market sell on a small cap on USD, then go to the BTC pairing, sell $2,500, go back to the US dollar pairing, sell $2,500, then go to the BTC pairing, sell $2,500. So I use it like that a lot when I have liquidity issues on markets, when I just want out, because I think, oh shit, it's hit my line, like I gotta get out now, market sell. I forgot to put in my limit sells or whatever, or oh, Bitcoin's crashing, but this has yet to crash, I'm gonna sell now, something like that. I utilize it like that. The BTC pairing, I also like to sell into and hold Bitcoin during a bull market. Which often are very short-lived, as most of you just experienced. It's like 3 months long, or depending on when you want to start them. Technically, in hindsight, it was October. It was more like 8 months long, but altcoin season only lasted 3 months, which is what I'm referring to. You could also, this is not how I use it, but if you simply wanted to accumulate Bitcoin on something that was outperforming, like Ethereum. I mean, technically, you could trade Ethereum to Bitcoin, and just sell every time Ethereum got too high above a specific EMA on that chart, and just wait for it to go back to that EMA and then accumulate more Bitcoin. Let me show you what I mean. You can just pick an EMA, like the daily 10, which is what I already have up, I think. All right, and really, so it always, no matter what, will always come back and hit the daily 10, whether it's coming from below or coming from the top. So, for example, here, it went below the daily 10, this white line, but it came up to where? The first rally to come hit it. So it always hits it, but every time it gets too far above, if you sold Ethereum into Bitcoin, and bought it back, when it got below it or whatever, you could accumulate Bitcoin that way. But then holding Ethereum as it's charging above that line and, sell here, wait for it to get closer to it, okay, buy back Ethereum, boom, 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 you can accumulate Bitcoin like that. But in a bear market, I would prefer to sell into dollars because Bitcoin is generally down too. So I personally like to trade into Bitcoin during bull markets for that reason. Because, I would rather sell into a stable coin in a bear market. And those are all my thoughts on BTC trading pairs. Hopefully you got one or two nuggets out of there that you weren't expecting as an answer. All right, cool. I'm going to wrap this bitch up right at the hour. This is perfect because I'm sweating hot in my office here without my air conditioner on. So I will see you all for the live show on Thursday. Same time, same place, 6 p.m. New York. And just got 10